Alright, let's fill our minds. Your news starts now. We first in New Orleans when our U.S. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden traveled on Monday. The Bidens visited with some families of the 14 people who were killed last week during the New Year's Day terror attack. The Bidens attended an feast and vigil with local energy, law enforcement, and community members. New Orleans and Mayor LaToya Cantrell and Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry also met with the president to discuss security efforts in the city. In times of national tragedies like this one, Americans often look to the president for reassurance. And in the modern times, the president has publicly taken on the role of consoler-in-chief. It is a role President Biden has been known for, shaping much of his political identity around empathy and his lifetime struggles of loss. Other presidents too have led the nation after difficult events, like when Ronald Reagan consoled Americans after the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded in 1986, just after launching in Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral. Now, to a major fiscal deadline looming over the U.S. government after the nation's debt ceiling was reinstated at the very beginning of this year. Reminder, the debt ceiling is the limit on the amount of money the U.S. federal government can borrow to pay its bills. And those bills will be coming due pretty soon, around mid-January. When the U.S. hits the debt limit, it can't borrow anymore. That's when the Treasury Department will have to start taking extraordinary measures to prevent a default. And those funds can last a few months. This has ramped up tensions between GOP lawmakers and President-elect Donald Trump, who is demanding Congress deals with the limit before he takes office on January 20th. CNN Venezuela Uverich breaks down the details of debt limit, showing us why it's become such a politically charged topic. Sen Tom Tills. Well, I think President Trump and I are in agreement that I don't even know why we continue to have the debt limit fund. Joe Biden, U.S. President. A permanent repeal of the debt ceiling? What do you mean? I mean, just say we don't have a debt limit. Unidentified female. No debt limit. Biden. No, that's irresponsible. Vanessa Urich, CNN business correspondent. The debt ceiling. The eternal Washington food fight. So why is it? And why is it so contentious? The debt ceiling is the legal limit set by Congress on how much money America has to borrow. Because if the U.S. spends more than it takes in, it borrows to make up the difference. The debt ceiling caps how much. The problem is it's not enough. So every once in a while, Congress needs to raise it. If it doesn't, the Treasury Department won't be able to pay all the country's bills in full and on time. Now, the Treasury does have a little wiggle room before it gets to that point, what it calls extraordinary, meaning to move money around. That's when fireworks usually breaks out. Rep. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. I want you to remember that it was just last spring that the same Democrats berated Republicans and said that it was irresponsible to hold debt limit, the debt ceiling hasher. What changed? Sen. The problem here is that they're asking to only get rid of the debt ceiling for a short period of time to allow them to massive new tax cut for billionaires and millionaires. Sen. There are some Republicans who have never voted to raise the debt limit and never will. Now, many say raising the debt ceiling is just a license to spend more money and grow debt. But it's not really. The debt ceiling just lets Treasury pay the bills America always owns. Rep. It's about prior debts incurred, and obviously we have to pay our debts just as every American has to pay down their credit card. If Congress really wants to damn down on debt, it has to do it a lot earlier, like before passing spending bills or tax cuts, both of which can add to the fasts. Failing to raise the debt ceiling won't keep a lid on debt. It just risks the U.S. defaulting in its obligations, something they could forever stain America's global reputation. Number 3. Wire. Pop quiz hotshot. Edaphology is the study of what natural material and how it affects plants, other organisms, and its use by people for agriculture needs. Water, soil, rocks, or sunlight. If you said soil, yes, sir. The scientists who study soil health from growing plants are called edaphologists. Now, to laser shooting robots. Have you heard about AI technology that just might become a game changer for farmers as they look to tackle one of their biggest problems? Weeds? With farms looking to replace toxic inheritance with sustainable practices, one company has developed a Star Wars-like machine that zaps weeds like lasers, like an Imperial stormtrooper. They say it's eco-friendly. But with laser blasters costing upwards of $1 million, how many already struggling farmers could actually use this first to help them turn a profit? Take a look. Unidentified female. Meet Steve Gill. He owns onions in California, and one of the worst enemies on his farm are weeds. Gill. They're sucking up the same fertilizer that onions are using. And if they get out of control, sometimes if it does happen, you can lose a field to weeds. Unidentified female. And the days of spraying herbicides as a form of weed control could be numbered. Paul Mikesell. Weeds are adopting in the long run. If you get a bunch of weeds that you can't even spray because they become resistant to the chemical tools that we have available. Unidentified female. Enter the laser weeder, designed by the company Carbon Robotics. The company says the laser weeder can kill up to 20,000 weeds per hour. It does it in an automated and chemical-free way by zapping the weeds with photon lasers equipped by tracking cameras. Mikesell. What we're doing is finding and targeting the thing called MRSAM. What happens is it's ripped apart the cells walls of the plant starting in Menton. Once you destroy the cell walls and all that stuff leaks all over the place, the plant is not able to grow anymore. Patented Vision Ecology software identifies what is a weed and what's not and targets the weeds with sub-millimeter accuracy. Because it's powered by AI, the laser weeder is constantly learning how to improve. Mikesell. All of these machines uploading images from all over the world, and we're training new AIs redeploying them to all those machines. And because the fields aren't being sprayed with as many chemicals, the soil becomes healthier, which could help farmers grow those big and tastier vegetables we all crave. Gill. Sustainable farming is the correction that we all have to get to better crops. Every little piece of technology that we use to make the crop better benefits the consumer. Thank you.